Thanks for staying with us on The Real Story. Joining me right now is Brian Foley. He is executive aide with the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. Also, Fox 61's former chief investigator. Brian, nice to hear you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, so this is a tough time for all of us. You know, many of us are working from home, trying to get into a new routine here, but our police officers are still doing the job. They're still out on the street. How are police departments faring in the state, would you say?
Well, yeah, so police officers unfortunately don't have the option to work from home, and it's already a dangerous job to begin with, so now let's throw something else a little bit more dangerous into the whole mix. And as you saw in the last week or so, a lot of officers, police departments, even fire departments are starting to have staff get sick. There's been a lot of preparation. Commissioner Rivella has done a great job over the last month or so preparing other police departments, working with the Connecticut Chiefs of Police Association, and getting everyone ready for when their departments have sicknesses. And you know, you're starting to see, like, at first it was a shock when you had people from state agencies or police departments testing positive. It's going to become the new normal. In the Connecticut State Police, they had 4 troopers test positive. One was an academy instructor. Thank God Commissioner Rivella shut down the police, or I'm sorry, set the police academy up for distance learning last week, and that instructor is doing well. There's a recruit that also tested positive. I'm told they're both doing well and actually keeping up with their jobs and the academy training on both sides of that. So you had 4 troopers. You have cops all over the state now starting to test positive. If too many police officers get sick in a police department and they're not able to function, there are a lot of other options available. Some towns already have mutual aid agreements with other towns set up, ready to go. You look at a town like Hartford, they have East Hartford, West Hartford, Wethersfield, Windsor, all around them, and Bloomfield. You look at like New Haven, the same thing, Hamden, North Haven, West Haven, East Haven. They all work really well with those police departments already. Some already have actually mutual aid agreements. Then there's the Blue Plan, and they have that set up in the state of Connecticut for all police departments when something bad happens to begin, with other departments coming in and supplementing. So all these plans have been ongoing. They're ready. And keep in mind one more thing. You have a whole bunch of police officers in this state that are now suddenly available. Those are all your state university police departments from Yukon, Central, Southern, Western, Eastern, DMV inspectors as well. You have the Capitol Police Department. The Capitol shut down right now. So all these police departments are ready to go for when other police departments start to lose people. So we have a deep bench and a deep bullpen here in the state of Connecticut, and well prepared to keep the state safe. Commissioner Rivella has done a great job in preparing everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I didn't even think of the other police officers that are now freed up since college campuses are, for the most part, shut down. Precautions in place, different protocol. You were just saying something about the Blue protocol. Is that something that goes into effect in an emergency like this?
You know, the Blue Plan is really set for a specific event, like a terrorist attack in a city, and now you have a whole police department down, or some critical incident, a large-scale fire where it chews up the entire police department with traffic and traffic posts, and or an active shooter situation. When that police department's stuck on one thing, the rest of the town or city still needs to have a police department covering it, and that's what that plan's built for. It's not built for long-term situation like this. So understanding that, the Commissioner Rivella did a great job in preparing all the police departments. Again, we try to predict a month or 2 in advance as to what's going to happen. We've done a good job at this point staying ahead of the curve, so we've adapted, not necessarily a Blue Plan, but just having everyone prepared for a long-term type situation.
Now, the governor has put in place certain orders. For example, last week he said that there should be no more than 5 people in a gathering. Police are the ones that are out on the streets trying to enforce that. And when I say enforce, I'm putting kind of quotations around it, because it's clear from what the governor has said during his press conferences that he's not trying to necessarily get you arrested if you're not complying. He wanted to do it on a community level. But what are your police officers dealing with crowds?
So we planned for this. Commissioner Commissioner Rebella reached out to the Chief State's Attorney, Coangelo, and they kind of looked at some of the laws that are out there. There's a public health law, 19A-131, which deals with someone violating a public health order. And then there's actually a felony, 28-22, someone violating one of the governor's orders. So the public health one's a misdemeanor, the governor orders is a felony. All this has been provided to police departments, but that is really not the message they're sending. You haven't seen anyone get arrested for it yet. It's not like they're out there searching for people's papers and wondering if they are supposed to be out there. This is a common sense type of situation for police officers. We want them to utilize some discretion, utilize some compassion, understand what everybody's going through, and they're not out there to enforce things. There have been calls to police departments around the state for certain things being open or certain complaints being made in that regard. But to this point, there have not been any arrests for that. That's not the message. We want people to kind of use common sense. And in this type of situation, cops can be pretty persuasive without having to make an arrest, getting groups to break up, getting businesses to scale down or shut their doors. So we don't want to arrest everybody, but at the same time, we have ways of helping people use their common sense.
Is crime down across the state right now since people are in their homes and not really out and about?
So that's a good question, Jen. I actually reached out to all the police chiefs in the urban areas this week, and the colonel and the commissioner have been looking at what's going on around the rest of the state. So, and the governor actually just asked Commissioner Rebella yesterday on the Unified Command Conference call, what is the crime situation kicking around the state of Connecticut? So when you look at the cities, it's really too early to tell if any of the violence has been affected. Violence is somewhat stable, when I say stable, somewhat consistent as where it was in regards to shots fired and stuff. There hasn't been really any consistent trend up or down for violence. But you look at some of the other things, like when there's a long snowstorm, when people are cooped up inside, domestic violence calls tend to go up, and you're seeing that the calls are going up. And at the same time, I want you to think about this, Jen, is addiction's still out there. Drug addiction's still there, and COVID-19 doesn't cure or pause drug addiction. And unfortunately, those addictions have to be fed one way or another. Well, one of the ways would be theft from either businesses, like your CVS's, your Stop and Shops, but burglary is a big one. And what you're seeing is home burglaries are going down quickly over the last 2 weeks, and that's because everybody's home. So there's not a lot of home burglaries, and we're starting to see that go down. On the other side of the coin, the other side of the coin, Jen, is businesses are starting, commercial burglaries, as we call them in the trade. Those are starting to go up because your businesses are empty. So what we're doing to the chiefs around the state is we're asking them to maybe do some extra directed patrols, they're called, having cops, check doors around businesses. What police are doing now, look, arrests are down around the state. There's no doubt about that. Traffic enforcement is down, and I'm not telling you that cops aren't out there doing their job. They're just kind of doing it with a little bit of a different flavor. High visibility. You're going to see cops on corners with their cruise lights on. Cops parked there. They're there to keep the public safe. They are there to fight crime. But look, if someone rolls through a stop sign, do you really, as a cop, do you want to risk getting COVID-19 or even worse, giving it to somebody because you don't know you have it? Because they rolled through a stop sign? No, you don't. So traffic enforcement is certainly down. Police departments, each police department gives its officers its own direction. So there's been no statewide mandate or anything like that. It's the determination of the police chief and the colonel of the state police to decide what their agency is going to do. But at the same time, cops are humans, and they're gonna the traffic patrol enforcement is certainly down. Looking at the numbers across the state, calls for service are down as well. You're seeing police departments doing a lot of calls over the phone. So people, if you're going to call the police department, understand that you might get questioned by the dispatcher as to the type of call, and you might, instead of having a cop come to your door during this situation, they might ask you to step outside, or they might actually just take the report over the phone. So that's where police departments are at as far as fighting crime. They're keeping everybody safe.
Right.
They're still doing their job. It's just the aggressive enforcement might be curtailed a bit.
Switching up the routine a little bit. Okay, we have like a minute left, but I want to get to some of these rumors, so we're going to fly through these. Okay, Brian? I'm going to say what the false rumor is, guys. These are not true, and I just want Brian to confirm them because these are some of the things that your department is hearing. There's a false rumor out there that the state borders and highways are closed. This is not true.
Really, that was the big one that started this whole rumor control thing that we're doing. And yeah, no, the borders are open, the highways are open, business still has to get done for people that are essential. So no, that's not true, and we're trying to dispel all these rumors. Go ahead. What's the next one?
Okay, so the next one I've had to write to people on Twitter about because false rumor again that there is a state curfew in place. There is no state curfew in place.
There's no curfew. No, absolutely not. No, that's no. It's pure rumor on social media.
That is a rumor on social media. There is a New Britain has a curfew for teens. I know that Mayor Aaron Stewart had implemented that, but that's only for teens. It's not for adults.
Bridgeport has the same kind of thing, but I'm not sure. I know Bridgeport's was not instituted as a result of COVID, and I'm unsure of what Aaron Stewart's intent was with that as well, but I'm sure it's for the benefit and the best of that city.
Here's a false rumor. Your census participation will impact your potential COVID-19 stimulus check. No.
Here they come, man. Here come the scams for those checks that are going to be out there. Everybody, watch out for the scams coming in. With this, with the potential for these checks to be coming out there, everyone's going to be sent. You're going to see emails, phone calls, different things on social media. Be careful. We posted a bunch of stuff there. It's all around. The Connecticut State Police has stuff on their social media to watch out for these scams. The census has absolutely nothing to do with your check coming in. Absolutely nothing to do. At the same time, please participate in the census.
Yeah, and just be careful of scammers because they will certainly try to use this situation for their own benefit. All right, Brian Foley, thank you so much for joining us over Skype. Be well and be healthy. Brian Foley with the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. That's going to do it for The Real Story right now. Thanks again, Brian. And we're going to be here for you again next week. Thanks for tuning in.